Hello! Welcome everyone to episode 37 of Twitch Tales, Dream Date. Where did we end off in episode 36? Well, episode 36 started with us out in the Lannis Woods facing off against a green dragon boar. And as we shot it with an arrow and retreated into the bush, casting Hunter's Mark on it in the process, we readied to make our escape, just as our friend Briar, the halfling druid, spoke with plants and asked them to help with entangling this creature and trying to slow it down, making the area of the forest difficult terrain around it. She then wild-shaped herself into a warhorse, and we mounted her and made good our escape as it chased us down. And not only did it chase us down, but it sent after us a friend of its, a friend, maybe even half-sibling of it, the half-green dragon bat that it had been speaking with prior to our arrival. Breathing smoke on us, breathing poisonous gas on us from afar, we managed to sustain only a very small amount of damage, being that we are a hardy dwarf with a high constitution and resistance to poison. We took very little damage, I think only 4 hit points from memory. And because of a number of different successful attempts to escape, we managed to outrun it while taking out the half-green dragon bat in the process. Killing it dead with a crush of the warhorse's hooves. We made it all the way back to Fondurg, having shouted at it on our retreat, "Our master will hear of this," in Draconic, intimidating and deceiving it into potentially thinking that we work for a much more powerful dragon somewhere in the forest. So we retreated off to Fondurg, and when we arrived, we went straight to the Knights of Kvosna. We told them about what we'd discovered and what we'd done. We filled them in on the information there. Then we went to a mask shop. We went to a hunting shop to replace our missing net. We met the owner of this operator of this hunting shop, a woman by the name of Sam. And it became quite clear while we were there that she was flirting with us. And so when we were haggling for a price of this new net that we bought, that you can see in our inventory below me, we decided to flirt back and ask her on a date. She knocked off 3 silver from the price for our flirtatious behaviour, and then and our promise of taking her out on a date. And we left to go to the headquarters of the PEA, the Pencampur and Emgelshel, the Druid Grove, the Druid faction. We filled them in on all the details of everything we'd learned, and then we headed back to town just in time for our date. That's where we're starting today. As Apis has grabbed a small bunch of flowers, a small bouquet of flowers from the greenhouse on their way back. Remind me, somebody, if we have inspiration or lucky horseshoe. I think we used both of them in the fight, but I could be mistaken. Not trying to be rude, what does non-binary mean in the terms of like dating? Any gender? So your gender and your sexuality are not necessarily linked together. Your gender is that you're not non-binary, which all it means for Apis is that they don't consider themselves either male or female. They use them/they pronouns, and that's how they identify. As for Apis' sexuality, it's never been decided before. But with this many people controlling Apis' mind, I imagine they're probably somewhat in the middle of the binary spectrum of sexuality, somewhat pansexual perhaps, or somewhere in that range. I'm not exactly sure. It's up to you guys to decide, really. Pretty sure you've used both. Yes, I'm pretty sure you used both during the fight. And your maximum HP, you can see up there, is 45, but your current HP, I think, is just 41. We lost a few hit points, but only a little bit during that fight. Yep, Apis could be asexual. Could be whatever you really want it to be. Whatever the hive mind decides, I suppose. I wondered if it would, when we were first creating Apis, I wondered if their sexuality would ever come up in game, but here we are, 37 episodes in, and Apis's first romantic date. All right. So we arrive. I think I ended off the session with us like picking Sam up from the shop, but I think I'll retcon just a little bit and say that you're on the way back. You've just arrived back in town with your bunch of flowers, but you've got a little bit of time to actually like prepare for the date if you wanted to do anything in preparation. Does Apis want to like clean up? You've been fighting a green dragon today, and you haven't had a chance to actually bathe or put down your equipment. You're still adventuring with a bow and a sword and all of these, arrows and a backpack full of adventuring equipment. Do you actually want to freshen up before the date, or do you just want to go as is? Probably a good idea to have a shower, yes. So in a town the size of Fonderg, about a population of 1,000, give or take, wash up the poison breath. Probably wouldn't smell too good covered in poison breath. So we in a town the size of Fonderg with about 1,000 people or so, there would be a bathhouse. There'd be probably a couple of bathhouses. Bathhouses in my world are a place of worship to the goddess of virginality and purity and cleanliness and all manner of things in that sort of portfolio. A goddess by the name Sarani. Is this our first shower? It might be. I think Apis has cleaned before at some point in their life, but not in game, I don't think. Do we need to book a room again at the library place? If you intend to stay at the same inn, you should probably book a room there. Yes. All right. So are we going to go get a room at the tattered page again, just so we've got somewhere booked in for where we can actually sleep tonight? We don't want to be camping out in the woods with half dragons around. That is probably smart. Yes. And drop off our gear as well. If we've actually booked out a room at the tavern, it means we've got somewhere that we can actually leave our gear. All right. Any objections to going to book? Do we have time? I'll say we have time. It's probably like 5 p.m. or so, and she said that she finishes work whenever the sun goes down, whenever the shop's closed. So it's kind of a flexible end time. As long as you're there before dark, she'll probably still be there. All right, so no objections. So Apis heads off to the tattered page then. So this was, for anyone who missed that episode, this is an inn/restaurant tavern in town that is run by someone who used to be an acolyte to Fifka, one of the knowledge gods, a god of learning and writing and teaching and language and a few other things of that domain. And this acolyte Fifka, Andrea, runs this inn and tavern that's almost as much of a library as it is an inn, because she has just a huge private collection of books that she allows her patrons to read as long as they don't damage them or leave with them. So we head there. We negotiate a price on a room. And again, I'll put it to you guys. What do you want? What sort of room do you want? We've got squalid, poor, modest, comfortable, wealthy, or aristocratic. At this place, she wouldn't have any rooms that are squalid, and she wouldn't have any that are aristocratic. She might have one wealthy room, but she's got poor, modest, comfortable, or wealthy. I think we went modest before. Modest. Yeah, most people say modest, and a modest is 3 silver pieces. I will say it's a little less than that, because that's still quite steep for a modest room. I'll say it's 2 silver for the night. So she is going to charge you 2 silver. I'll say 3. Oh, she asks when you book a room if you want a meal. She can include that in the price, but you're going to go elsewhere for the meal probably, or maybe come back here for the meal afterwards and pay for that separately. So I will just pay for the room off your silver right now, and the washroom is part of the price. For a modest room, the washroom would be a shared facility. So she gives us the key again, and we head off to our room to drop off our belongings, our bags and weapons and things, whatever you decide you would want to drop off. And then you head back to the shared facility, the shared washroom area, and find a little a stall within the bathroom and clean yourself off for the next hour or so. Apis has a wash, gets into some cleaner clothes. We don't actually have extra clothes in our inventory, but I imagine Apis has got like one set of extra clothes maybe. Apis has got the set that they wear and then another one set maybe for when they have to change out, I suppose, or when one of them is washing the other. When Apis is washing one set of clothes, the other set is what they're wearing. So I imagine, I'll say for now, that Apis has one set of, and they're both basically traveller clothes. Like they're both not tatty. Like the Apis would keep good maintenance on them, I'm sure. But they're well worn clothes. It's not like you have fancy clothes. If you wanted to go and buy some smart clothes, you might be able to. Is there time to buy smart clothes? Let's have a look. Let's give it a roll now. Now that we're pushing our luck a little bit, we've taken the time to walk back to the. Let's give it a percentage chance. How do I want to do this? I imagine it's around 5:30-ish. So the chances that somebody's shutting is pretty likely. That is, yeah. By the time you figure by the time you get ready and go around town trying to find a tailor to buy some nice clothes, the chances are that you'll have a hard time actually finding one that's open. You can always try, but it's pushing on in the day enough now that you probably can't afford the time to buy new clothes. Oh no, can we borrow clothes? I mean, from whom? Do we need pretty clothes? I'd say no. We don't need to buy clothes. She likes us as rough and ready ranger. Oh, too bad. Does the tavern library loan out clothes? Probably not, from your experience with how libraries or taverns work. Would we want to keep another set of clothes with us to travel with? Possibly. I want to say that Sam was like into us even though we hadn't showered in weeks and weeks, and we were covered in poison breath and all sorts of nonsense. That is what we were looking like when Sam first flirted with us, so she's obviously okay with it. Scrub up our armor while we're getting cleaned up. That'll do for nice clothes. Sam was attracted to us for being a hunter. So you want to wear your armor to the date, Sparrow? What do you guys think? 60% of you say yes. Wear the armor to the date. All right, so I'm just going to roll. It's relatively new armor. Although you did get it off of a dead manticore. No, it wasn't a dead manticore. It was new armor that was in the supplies from the manticore, which has been turned into. So I don't even need to roll for it. You've had it so little time already since you got the armor that it doesn't take much work at all to freshen it up. You get it back to as fresh as it can be, really. And you clean yourself up nicely, wash your hair, whatever. And get into your spare change of clothes, and then you put your studded leather armor back on the top. And how about the weapon? Should we take any sort of a weapon with us? I'll make another poll for that. What do most people in town carry? Most people in a town like this would carry a personal weapon of some kind, maybe just a single knife or something. It's usually just either for immediate self-defense or for utility. Like in medieval times, you wouldn't get cutlery given to you at a restaurant necessarily. You'd carry your own meat knife for cutting up your meat and things like that. So most people, it wouldn't be uncommon at all for most people to have some kind of a knife on them. All right, 54% of you saying yes, just take your hunting knife. Cool. So we're going to leave our bow and our longsword behind, so it's not too intimidating. We don't look like we're trying to be a knight of Kvosna or something, but we're not completely unarmed. We've got a hunting knife on us in case things go down. Okay, so we're going to go in our armor. We're going to go with a hunting knife. What else do we need to know? New poll. Do we leave our bag behind? Yes or no? So our bag is all of this stuff: bedroll, net, caltrops, herbalism kit, rations, empty vials, everything but the hunting knife, obviously. Things that are small, like the lucky horseshoe and maybe a vial of healing potion, we can kind of have in our pockets if necessary. But all of the big stuff like the herbalism kit and the net and the bedroll and the rope, they would all be in our bag. How likely will it get stolen? That's up to you guys to kind of decide. Like, how much security do you expect there to be? you put anything in? You could always hide the bag in your room somewhere in case it gets broken into. The inn I have described as being relatively nice. It's not a squalid place and it's not rowdy. It's a very quiet, out of the way inn. Is the room secure? It's got a key to open the door, but I mean, there's only so much security that a key offers in a world where there's rogues with plus 20 to their lock picking and things. 76% are you saying yes, we're going to leave our bag behind. Cool. So on the on this date, we're going to have our lucky horseshoe. We're going to have our hunting knife, and we might have. Is there anything else small from this list that you would want to take in your pocket, just to make sure that you've got it on you? Healing potion, bone dice. Do you want to take those bone dice? Take the healing potions. All right. So we take these 2 vials of half healing potions that we've got. Fancy says we should keep the bone dice on us. What does everybody else think about that? Keep the bone dice. Keep the bone dice. Keep the bone dice. I don't see anybody saying leave the bone dice, so we'll keep the bone dice on us. It does come in like a wooden box, so it's not the smallest of things, but it'll take up 1 whole pocket for that. A couple of healing potions in the other pocket, and our hunting knife in a hunting knife sheath on our belt. Yes, we used all 3 of them. Healing on Melf the Third. Okay, yeah, we used a Zephyr Strike, a Cure Wounds, and a Hunter's Mark. Let's make an official poll for it. Take the dice? 78% of you saying yes. Take the dice. If not just to have them, but just more so that you just don't leave them behind. Does anyone want to take the panpipes? They won't fit in a pocket, but you can hold them in your hand. If the date starts going badly, we'll ask if they want to hear a song. It's a good get out of the date free. Start playing the panpipes for them. All right, 57% of you decide not to take the panpipes. So Apis looks in their bag, looks at the panpipes. Nah, probably not. Puts them back again. Closes up the bag, places the bag hidden in the room somewhere. I'm going to make a... would it be sleight of hand or stealth? Like, are you stealthily trying to do something? Are you sleight of handing? What would be a disguise check? A intelligence-based stealth check. That's what it's going to be. It's going to be an intelligence-based stealth check, meaning that you will get a +3 from your intelligence, and because you're proficient in stealth over there, it's going to be a +2 from that as well. So it's going to be a +5 on our stealth check, because it's not dexterity. It's not about how dexterous you can be to be stealthy here. It's about how intelligently you can place it in the room somewhere that people won't look for it if they break in. So you're going to hide your bag as well you can. That's a 12. 12 plus 5 is 17. 17 stealth on hiding your belongings in the room somewhere. So let's say you there's a floorboard that's loose that you've noticed in the couple of times you've been into the room so far, and it kind of rocks a little bit. And so you move aside the bedside table, and to get to the thing, you get your hunting knife and pry up the floorboard, put your bag in there, and place it down again. Easy peasy. It's not the most secure place. If anybody is particularly proficient in investigating a room for valuables, they'll probably find it with a 17. But on a cursory glance, it will beat any passive investigation. If somebody just breaks in just to look around for something to steal, they won't see it at least. Yeah, we hide our weapons in there as well. We hide the bow and arrows and the sword and everything in there as well. Yeah, we've put the bedside table back over the top of the board. Cool. Leave the herbalism kit out and the books as a decoy. Oh yeah, that could be smart. If somebody breaks in looking for something to steal and there's absolutely nothing to steal, that's when they might actually start investigating. That's pretty smart, fancy. So we grab out one of our books, a couple of our books, and since books can be quite expensive in this world, we place them out on the bedside table. One of them we place it open as if we've been half reading it at night, and leave out a couple of the less expensive items from our herbalism kit, and leave those out on the sort of personal table at the end of our bed, just so it looks like we've been doing something there. And with that, it's starting to get dark, so we better get to this hunting shop. Oh, she's going to have left already. I'm going to roll a preparation check, just a general preparation check. It's going to be charisma based, and if you were proficient in disguise kit or anything, if you were proficient in like makeup kits or anything that would play in here, then now's the time to argue it. No Wraith, we're not getting a forest bonus. But this is just to see how well we brush up, essentially, how well we sort of maintain our hair and sideburns and that sort of thing. So it's just going to be a straight charisma check. Fancy, that idea was very inspiring. Thank you, Batmerp. Yes, that idea was very inspiring. Here you go. All right, so let's do a +1 charisma check. 18, look at that. 18 + 1, 19. 19 on the brushing up check. We're looking fairly well. We're feeling smart about it. You may notice that we don't have any perfumes or soaps in our inventory. Those are items that you can buy in the Adventurer's Kit. You can buy soaps and perfumes if you want them. I'm assuming that they had soap in the communal wash house, but they wouldn't have had perfumes because that's quite expensive. So we haven't put on anything nice smelling, but we at least don't smell like poisonous breath anymore from the dragon that spewed on us. And we grab we head out of our room. Oh, forget 1 second. Go back in, grab the bunch of flowers that we put on the side. We did steal soap from the Toria's uncle after the Gobbos killed him. Yes, we did actually. Well remembered. We do. We actually do have soap. We don't stink. Win. And then we head to the hunting shop. Don't believe I ever actually named her hunting shop, did I? Did I give her a name? Let's have a look at my notes here. Places. No, I don't actually. I didn't name Sam's hunting shop. What do you guys think it should be called? Hunting spot. I quite like hunting spot. I'm going with that one. You head to the hunting spot, and as you're getting there, it looks like there's no lights on inside, and it's closed up. And you think, "Oh dear, I'm a bit late." But you knock on the glass front door anyway, and then there's a light starts to shine into the main area of the shop from the door that's opened up at the back of the shop, letting some candlelight spin out from there. Is Mel third wheeling? Yeah, that was actually another poll I was going to ask, wasn't I? I was going to ask in the preparatory stage for the date. Does Mel come along? So with 60% of the vote, Apis decides yes, Mel is going to come along for this date. So Mel has popped by, buzzed by as we were preparing for the date, attracted by our bunch of flowers, and Mel's sort of like perched on our shoulder as we've knocked on the door. I can just visualize that actually now, just from Sam's perspective, coming out into the shop and looking through the glass front door of the thing with the closed sign right on the door, and Apis barely around the side of that, being like 4 foot something, and then a bee on the shoulder with a bunch of flowers in the hand, and like an attempt at like a parting in the hair or something. Sam comes walking over to us. She's wearing a different outfit than we saw her in before. She's wearing one that has large puffy bits to the upper arm, but bare shoulders, and then straps around the neck down to the front, and a dress down to the ground. And as she walks forwards towards the door, it's a sort of a lighter what's the word? Aqua. It's like a lighter aqua colour dress. And she walks forwards, and as she walks, you can actually make a perception check. What's your perception? +4. 18. So with an 18 perception, you can see that underneath the dress, she's got like hunting boots on. she as pretty as she looks from the upper half, it seems maybe she doesn't have pretty shoes to wear, or maybe the shoes don't fit her, or what have you. So she's put on a dress, but she's still got practical shoes on for walking about town. Much in the same situation as us, wearing the best that we have. Yeah, pretty much. Seems like it. So she comes over and opens the door for us and says, did I give her a voice before? What sort of a voice did she have? Oh yeah, no, I remember. I was wondering if you'd show up. You took your time. You see, oh, sorry, I was getting ready. over to you guys. What do you want to do? Where do you want to take her? What do you want to say? The date is yours. Compliment her. That's a very pretty dress you've got. She says, "Oh, thank you." She gives a little twirl. Yeah, it's very nice. Works well with you. Let's go. Roll a compliment check. Plus your charisma. Nat 1. Nat 1. You go. It goes well with the stuff and the dress and your face. It goes well. And here, these are for you. You hand up the flowers. And she, oh, thank you. I'm gonna roll to see if she whether she finds it endearing that your compliment was shit, or whether she's somewhat insulted by it. Okay. With your insight, you've got a +2 insight, which would be passive enough to tell that she found it somewhat endearing that your compliment was not a good compliment. Do you know of any nice restaurants around? And she says, I thought you were going to take me to dinner. The idea of you taking me to dinner is that you decide where we're going, right? I suppose I can, but you live here. I don't live here. So if you've got a place that you like to eat, we could eat there. Give her the flowers. Yeah, we've given the flowers. Your dress matches the curtains. Every date I've ever been on. She takes the flowers from us and says, "Oh, these are very pretty." I'm gonna roll let's see. She'd be good at nature. Oh wow, yeah. So she knows exactly what flowers they are and where they grow. So from that insight check. She goes, "Did you get these from the greenhouse to the south?" Is it, what do you say? Do you tell her that you got advice? You got given advice from Polyneth? Just say yep. Yes, yeah, I did. Polython's she can be such a nosy person at times, but I suppose it pays off. She certainly knows which flowers I like. She gives them a sniff. Oh, they're nice. I'll put them. Should I bring them? No, I suppose I'll put them somewhere in the shop. Just give me a second to go and find a vase. And she walks back off to the front room, leaving you in the shop front. You hear something clack together, and then she scrapes some glass against wood and comes back out, and she's got a large vase. She puts puts the flowers in. She says, "I'll have to add water to those tonight when we get back. But let's go. I'm getting hungry." The Polython said you were lovely, by the way, when I said who it was that I was going out with tonight. Is that right? Yes. Well, Polython's a lovely person as well. I'm very glad to have met her. She helped me a lot in the early days. Panic. My brain's frozen to think of a reply. It's not even me. Try to fix out the hair in the window reflection. Yeah, let's roll a nervous. Like, you did okay on the preparatory stage, but no matter how well you think you are doing, given a chance when you're left alone, you're going to try and touch it up, and it might make it worse. 11 plus your preparatory check, so 12 total. So we like move something across, and then by the time she comes back, we've kind of like still got like a stray hair or two, because we sort of tried to touch up something that didn't really need to be touched up in the first place. So I thought we could maybe go for a walk, just stop when we see a place that we fancy. Alright, sure. Who's this, by the way? And she says to Mel, who's now buzzed off and landed on one of the surfaces in the shop. That's my friend Mel. Mel is my giant bee. She's a companion. She helps me in situations where I'm in danger. She's quite a handy in a fight. You don't speak Sylvan, do you? I don't think she does. Let's have a look. She's been a hunter all her life. I don't think she would speak Sylvan, but let's give it a chance. Let's give it a chance of... Okay, now. She says, "No, I'm afraid not." And you say, "All right. Well, I converse with her in Sylvan, so you don't mind, do you?" She says, "No, not at all. It's been a long time since I've seen a giant animal like this. She's okay with new people?" You say, yes, she's fine. Mel." And you call her over and she flies over and sort of lands on your shoulder, but being that she's like a pig, her front legs are kind of on your shoulder and the back leg kind of come down your back as she's sort of hanging off your shoulder. She's not as weighty as an actual pig would be, given that her body is designed to be relatively light so that her wings can actually support her. But you feel the weight as she lands, and then you say to Mel in Sylvan, "This is my new friend Sam." She says it's been a while since she's seen someone of your size, so we're going to go out and get some food together. And Ned goes, that is nice. I like the color of her dress. It looks like a bluebell. She buzzes in French, yeah. And you translate that to Sam. She says, "Your dress is very pretty. It looks like some blue flowers." "Oh, that's very nice," and gives Mel a little bit of a twirl as well. Can we teach Sam to say hello in Sylvan? Sure, yeah, you can do that. So you say, if you want to say hello, it's the word, and Sylvan in my world is based on French, so it would be, let's come up with something that's not exactly French, but something similar. Binger, I think. Just so it's vaguely French sounding, but unique. You say, binger. And she tries it. Let's give her an attempt at getting the accent right. She takes her a few times. She didn't do it exactly right, but you explain the subtle sort of pronunciations, and the fact that it's got like silent letters in there that you can't. Some mostly silent, but there's just a hint of like breathy aspiration to them. And tries her best, and there you go. Before long, she's said hello to Mel, and Mel has replied. So, let's get some food. You walk out the shop. She locks up behind, takes the keys. I was going to say puts it in a pocket, but dresses don't have pockets. It's a fantasy world. Maybe the biggest fantasy in this world is that dresses come with pockets in them. I reckon not in a nice dress. In most of Sam's dresses would probably have pockets, but in a nice pockets. In a nice dress like this one, she probably does. She puts in a boot. Yes, yeah, Gus. So she lifts up her dress and slips the key down the side of her boot. Did we ask Sam if it's okay that Mel's there? Yes, we did, and Sam said it's fine. So we start to walk through town. What do you guys think to what might catch Apus's fancy this evening? It's a relatively sizable town. It's not that close to any lakes or the ocean, so there wouldn't be lake or ocean fish. You are pretty close to a mountain river though, like a river that comes from the mountains. So there would be river fish. So there's probably like one fishing shop, one fishery in town that would sell fish meals, but only sell like river fish meals. There'd be plenty of places that sell various different herd animals and hunting animals. Though there'd be venison restaurants and restaurants that have beef and lamb and what have you. There'd be lots of places to eat of various different kinds, various different classes as well. That part of Apus wants some steak. Fancy, is there a good place for the sunset? Let me think. Whereabouts are you? Sitting in the east, rising in the east, sitting in the west. So from the location of Fonderg, there is a huge mountain range to the east, and then there is a big forest to the west. So neither one would have the greatest of views. If you went to the very east of Fonderg, that would be the highest elevation in town, because you'd be further up the foothills of the mountains, and so you might get some nicer view of the sun setting over the forest, the Giftigald forest. Yeah, you'd know all of that, being that you're an outlander and a ranger. You'd know how to tell the sun and things. So if you wanted the best chance of seeing the sunset, you'd probably go to the eastern part of the town. The Deer's Delice Game Restaurant. Nice. Or the Deer's Delicacy. Is that what you meant to say? Wild game, mead, stew. Go a little bit upscale. We're not broke and it won't break the bank. Yeah, just to give you some context for pricing of foods and things that Apis would know, having lived 53 years now. A meal, a comfortable meal, would be 5 silver pieces per person. That would be very... I would probably increase all of these in my own game, like up one step. So a comfortable meal would probably be like 3 silver pieces per person. A wealthy meal would be like 5 silver pieces. An aristocratic meal, you're looking at like a gold piece per person. Alright, let's go... a lot of people saying upper end of comfortable, some other people saying wealthy. That's pretty much the same thing. So let's say we're looking at around 5 silver pieces per person, yeah? Like a gold for the whole, for 2 meals. A gold piece for 2 meals, and then like another, depends on how much you want to spend on drinks, but a pitcher of common wine would be 2 silver. A bottle of fine wine would be 4 gold. But that's like super fine wine. That's like really nice elven stuff. If you want to, so we're looking. Basically, you just tell me how much you want to spend on this meal and drinks, and I'll tell you the sort of place that you find for that. All right, cool. So we're wanting to spend about 2 gold. It seems most people are about in the same ballpark, between 1 and 2 gold ish on the meal. And it's our shout, because that's what we negotiated the 3 silver off of our net with. That was our bargaining chip for getting the date. It's a lot of money on food. It's about $400 US ish, which would be a very expensive meal, but it would mean that you've got like some very expensive wine involved and things as well. All right, so you walk through the town. Let's make just a general charisma check just to see how Apis is like generally doing with small talk, chit chat stuff. 17 plus 1, not bad. So we've got an 18 on our small talk. We're actually doing pretty well at holding our own in this conversation. Is there anything specific that you want to talk to Sam about or ask her about while you walk through town? You notice a couple of people saying hello to Sam as you walk by and giving you sort of a nod of acknowledgement. 2 gold piece max, yeah. So what's your name? What's your full name, by the way? I only know Sam. And she says, my name's Sam Dunhall. What's yours? Apis Hive. Hive? Oh, that's an unusual dwarvish name. Hey, we were the only hives in the town I'm from anyway. Sasquatch. Should we tell her about the Sasquatch? Should we talk about hunting areas? How long she's lived here? Well, there's lots of different options. Let me pick one. Let's go. Actually, tell you what we'll do. We'll make this. This is a social encounter rather than a combat encounter, but there's no reason we shouldn't use the Nightbot for the encounter as well. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to go back to combat rules. If you want to decide on what the first sort of topic of small talk is that you guys talk about, put !topic in the chat. Two Bread Tom. What's the first topic that we ask Sam about or talk to Sam about on our walk through the town in order to try and find somewhere nice to eat? Just awkwardly talk about all the nets we've owned before. That's great. If you didn't have inspiration, I'd give you inspiration for that. I like it. You just awkwardly, you just try and find something that you can talk about, and realizing that you don't know anything about Sam, and you've only just met her, and you've talked to her for a grand total of like 5 minutes, and the only thing you've talked about is a net that you had, and then a couple of nets that she was selling you, and the different types of net. Apis Apis goes to Apis goes to just grasping at that as the only thing to talk about. And so you start talking about nets, and I can just picture it as Apis waddles alongside this towering woman, talking about nets and how this net that you've just bought from her should be really good because it's got weights, it's got pockets for putting weights in the corners so that you can weight it down. It's a very genius idea. I can't believe I never thought of doing something similar. Actually, there's a few times that would have come in handy when I've been hunting, and I'm gonna roll an awkwardness check. Wait, so if it's high, it's more awkward. No, if the lower the number, the more awkward this conversation is. It's a 13, not too awkward actually. You're because you are both hunters, you actually managed to find things to talk about with regards to nets. It's not the most romantic of discussions, but it's definitely it definitely increases your connection. Tell you what I might do actually. I'm gonna keep a tally of something. All right. Very good, very good. Don't forget to type in !topic if you want to be in with a chance to decide what you're going to talk about. As you walk through the town, you're walking towards the east, right, to try and find somewhere that's got a nice view of the sun setting. Mythical Turian. It is now, as the net topic kind of has reached the end of its tenure. What does Apis transition the conversation towards? Mythical. What did one hunter say to another one when he spotted a deer? Are you up for some deer-licious dinner? That's awful. That's appalling. I'm going to give you disadvantage on your check here. That's a 4. A 12 and a 4. So that is a 4. She that's so bad that she doesn't even like groan and make a thing of it being bad. She just like, yeah. And then the conversation moves on. Wraith, after that terrible joke clearly doesn't go down well. What do you move on the conversation towards? Maybe she should talk. So, how long have you owned your shop anyway? It's a great little place. He says, yes, it is. I've owned the shop. It's I'm not getting her voice right. Yes, it is. I've owned the shop for it's complicated really because I've had the shop in one form or another. It's gone through some changes. The shop itself I've had for about 7 years, I think. But in its current form, I've had the shop for about 2 years or so in the form that it's in now. It's nice. It's a nice one. There's a few hunting stores in town as well, but we all kind of found our own niche, I suppose, in Fonderg. I'm glad you like it. Hey, well, it's well stocked. You keep it looking good and what have you. That was a good question. Always a good idea to ask people about themselves. I'm going to give you advantage on the roll there. Your awkwardness check. 16. That's good. That's some positive conversation happening there. Is there any follow-up, Wraith, or anyone to the same discussion, same topic? What was it before you owned it? You said it's changed a little bit since you said yes. It used to be. Well, when I first owned it, it was actually when I first owned it, it was more what it is now, like more of just a hunting gear store. Then I sort of transitioned into it being a more competitive sort of a place. It was a place where it became known to the hunters of the town as sort of the place to buy the best gear, if I without being too immodest about it. But I mean, it's true. So I had my gear with I prided myself on very good gear, and so a lot of hunters would come there. And then, because a lot of hunters were there, they started to. I put up a board that was sort of the leaderboard of who could do the best in it over a week or a month or even like the whole year, who's the best of the years, and I would offer prizes and things. And then I started selling less equipment, and people would come, and I made most of my money on the betting of various different hunting competitions and things, and I would run monthly or yearly. Annual sort of events where people would go out and hunt and things, and that's kind of what it became for the majority of the time. But then about 2 years ago, I had a change, a big change in my life, and I decided that I wasn't really interested in that sort of thing anymore, and I wanted to go back to what it was, and I sort of transitioned it back to more what it was now, what it is now, just selling hunting gear and things. Do you have any plans to expand the shop? No, I don't think it's necessary really. I don't really want to expand onto either side of the shops on either side of me. I get along really well with the shopkeepers there, and they're very successful. I wouldn't want to buy them out just so I can have the larger shop. And as for opening a shop elsewhere, like another location, I wouldn't want the distance to travel between the town, the streets of the town the whole time. All right, I think we're at the end of the shop discussion. So let's go high tech geek. What do you turn the topic towards? Do you hunt a lot, Sam? If so, tell me about your best hunts and adventures. She says, I don't really hunt much anymore. No. I haven't gone hunting in a while, actually. I kind of miss it. I used to hunt a lot. I was, again, I'm just telling you the facts based on the leaderboards of my shop, but I was the best hunter in Fondurg. I was the most successful anyway. Others had specific things that they could do a little better than I. I was never the best at setting traps. Things like that, but I was the best hunter, I would say, overall. But I haven't done it in a while, not really in the last couple of years. But I can tell you some stories. Boy, can I tell you stories of my hunting. What's your best hunt? He says, let's see. There was a time that about 5 years ago. About 5 years ago, there was a small town of Forest Gnomes in the Giftergald that I'd come across maybe a year before that, and I went to I was in the area hunting anyway, and I thought I'd drop in and see how they were, and they were not doing well. They had been struggling to get by. They just were too small of a population to really sustain each other. On if one person is out for a week for an illness or injury or something, then suddenly it throws off their whole economy because they can't grow the food that they need to be growing, and they're not focusing on hunting the right animals, things like that. And so I thought it was just something like this, something had happened to them, that somebody had gotten injured. But it turns out there was an attack on their town maybe a month before by I still never really know what to call them, a flock, a herd, a group of griffins. So you're aware of, and you see, oh yeah, I know a griffin. Right, well, these griffins had moved into the forest, and they were hunting the gnomes' horses. And so I said I would help them out. I felt inclined to help them out. I felt like they needed my help, and at the time I was a little more of a believer in the gods of such, but I thought that it was a sign that I was sent there. And so I hunted them down. I hunted down this gaggle of griffins, if you want. And that was probably my most successful, most challenging, and most dangerous time hunting, because it was just me against an entire group of griffins. And I picked off 4 of them, one at a time, just sort of luring them away, using my wits and intelligence to bring them down from their nest and defeat them one at a time. And then the last two flew on, made a nest elsewhere, I imagine. It was quite a success. I was dining on that story for, well, I suppose 5 years now. That's very impressive. Thank you. Yes, it was back in my my earlier days of it. Any follow-up questions, or should we move on to another topic? I think about this time you'd probably be arriving at the east of Fonderg, and we've killed a few beasts as well. Yes. What sort of animals have you killed? What's been best your hunt, your best hunt so far? This place, by the way, and she points up ahead, it does fantastic wild game. They tend to use more mountain goats and things that they would catch in the mountains to the east of town, rather than the forest animals to the west. So I like coming here for a little bit of something different. I'm not used to hunting in mountains. We put a hold on our a topic of discussion for a second as we arrive at this wild game restaurant. What should it be called? The deer's delicacy or something? Somebody said. What would it be called if it was like mountain goats and things though? What's a name for like mountainous wild game restaurant? Peak dining. That's it. We found it together. Well done, Psych Ward. We walk into the peak dining, and we get a table. Get a table for 2, and we get a table in the western side of the restaurant, which is out onto a deck on stilts. So it's an exterior dining situation. By the time we get there, the sun is pretty much set already. Let's roll a check to see how pretty it is tonight, though it might not be the most pretty of sights. It's below average, but not completely colourless. So that would be a tag into the neutral category there. So as we sit down again, the waiter asks us if we know what we want to order, or if we want some time to think about it. Gives us the specials and things. Wine, please. So we order some wine. How much would Apis know about wine? You're an outlander and a dwarf, so I don't imagine you'd know a lot about wine. Do you reckon Apis is a wine drinker? Do you guys think of them as someone who's a wine connoisseur, or would you just go on the recommendation of the waiter? Brewer's kit. Oh, true. Well remembered there, Monizies. You can see over there in the tools part that we are proficient in brewer's tools. So we would probably know a little about the basics of brewing, of making wine. But our brewing kit probably gives us more proficiency in mead and ales and whiskies, and mead and wheat-based alcohols, I would imagine, rather than wine. Wine isn't really brewing, is it? Apis is more of an everything but wine person. All right, so Apis probably doesn't know too much about wine, it seems. So Apis just goes on the recommendation of the waiter, who leaves to come back with a couple of glasses of wine later. In the meantime, while the waiter's gone and we're awaiting our drinks and food, our drinks and ordering our food, what should we talk about? Fancy unicorn. What do we talk about? Continue the chat about hunting. Ask if she's hunted any dragons. And then Spates' joke. If I didn't see Spates' joke, what was your joke, Spates? Can you put it again? Speaking about hunting, have you ever hunted any dragons? Would she have hunted dragons? Very unlikely. Let me give it a percentage chance. No, I haven't hunted dragons before. No, I don't actually know anyone who has. They're very dangerous creatures, and we tend to stick away from them. If I was a dragon slayer, I wouldn't be running a hunting shop in Fonderg, that's for sure. I'd probably be running a business out in the capital or something. No, I'm fascinated to know about your experiences with these half dragon creatures, though. I imagine that, given the situation with the green dragon, hopefully it won't be too soon before we all have to be hunting dragons. Right. Aye, they are dangerous. You're absolutely right there, and hopefully, as you say, we don't have to hunt them anytime soon. But unfortunately, I think as long as a few of us are willing to step up to the mark and put our lives on the line to hunt them, perhaps the rest of us can sleep a little easier. Yes, perhaps so. That leads to a moment of silence as you just kind of both stare off at the remnants of the sun. At this moment, a second waiter comes across, and a human man, and lights a candle that's on our table to keep some light now that the sun has set. The knight asks us to keep the hybrids to ourselves, though. She knows, yeah. The rumours travel fast in a town of about 1,000 people on a frontier, and they did announce it. There's been certain information has been announced, but certain information has not yet. And we haven't been in town the whole day, yesterday or today, so we're not exactly sure which information has been disseminated and which hasn't. Red wine like a Pinot or Burgundy would go well with game, kind of. Tart berries undertones. There you go then. So that's what the waiter brings across to us, just as we sort of recognise this silence at the table as the next waiter comes and lights the candle. We say, so what do you call a deer with no eyes? No idea. She says, yeah, I've heard it. You say, what do you call a deer with no eyes and no legs? Still no idea. Yeah, you got it. Hey. What do you call a deer with no eyes, no legs, and no ears? Still no idea. Deaf. No idea. No eye deaf. Definitely still no idea. Hey, that's a good temp, but no. You can call it whatever you want because I can't hear you. I'm gonna roll for that. I'm gonna see if she likes that joke. 10 plus 1 from charisma. 11. That's slightly above average. It gets an exhalation through the nose. Call it whatever you want. That's good. There's another silence, another moment of silence before the first waiter comes back with our glasses of Pinot or whatever you said it was. How about we use the silence to decide what we're eating? It's a good idea. What do you guys think Apis is going to order from this mountain game restaurant? Given all the things that you can hunt in a mountain and grow in a mountain, it doesn't have to be solely stuff from a mountain because it is in the foothills and there are farms around that would grow regular lowland food as well. But they try and stick to a theme in this peak dining. Rack of lamb. Do you have anything vegan? They would have all sorts of different hardy vegetables and stuff. Mountain version of surf and turf. Stag, potatoes, carrots, mushrooms, wine-based sauce. Apis is not vegan. Apis is, in this campaign already, eaten meat. Apis could turn vegan if enough of you decided that in the moment. Apis could be vegan, but it seems like enough synapses are not that it wouldn't be an option right now. Bread and cheese board to start, and then spring roasted vegetables and a boar. Sounds good. Something like that. You can make your own headcanon about what Apis orders, and Sam orders something similar, and we and then the waiter leaves to take our orders to the kitchen, and we're left again with some time to talk. So, ! Topic if you want to decide what it is that you want to talk about, and Faust40, if you're still in the chat, what is it that we ask about or talk about? Faust says, tell the Sasquatch story, but add some comedic elements as a you won't believe this kind of a story. And then I got the bright idea to go into the pit, etc., etc. Awesome. Let's do a performance check. This is going to be a performance check based on how well you can recall the story and tell it in an entertaining way. You're not proficient in performance, so it'll just be a straight charisma check of a +1. We've got a roll happening, +1. I'm going to roll that again because it bounced out of my dice tray. That is a 3. 3 + 1. It's a 4. We do have inspiration. If we want to re-roll that, we can. Or we can just tell the story with a 4 total. Alright, that is definitively more yeses than nos, so we are going to re-roll that with inspiration. I'm going to go into my inspiration here and click it. Sparkle, sparkle, sparkles, and 5. 5 + 1, 6. So instead of a 4 performance check, it's a 6 performance check. So Apis tells this Sasquatch story, the story of them hunting a Sasquatch and feeding it a potion of comprehension and luring it back to the town that they're from in order to put it into a pit in order to have it on display as a tribute to the gods and things. And you realize that like you're halfway home with the Sasquatch in your story before you even explained that you like fed it the comprehension potion, and so that's how you can make it understand you. And then from her questions halfway through, she seems confused about this because you've been telling such awful jokes all night that she thought you were starting with a joke because you were saying, "Oh, this one time that I met a Sasquatch." And then she thought it was a joke that you were telling, and then the joke just carried on. And then she's like, "Wait, is this a real story?" And you genuinely found a Sasquatch, and then you have to go back and start again the story from scratch. But you forget a little bit. It's generally a pretty bad story. I'm going to roll an insight check for you. 16 plus 2 for insight, 18. With an 18 insight, you can tell that she isn't enjoying the story. From her questions, she seems to not believe the story. And then we sort of try and explain the fact that we're telling the truth. And then she seems to still not enjoy the story because maybe I don't know. I think that's as much as you managed to read with an 18. She doesn't seem to enjoy the story. So, oh boy, so the date is going well. Well, I'm actually keeping a track of positives and negatives to this date, and Apis. Let's make another insight check just on the date as a general date. Is it going well or not? 4 plus our insight of 2 with a 6. A 6, you can't quite tell how the date's going. You're nervous and not used to spending time with others. And it's been a while since Apis had any sort of romantic interest, it seems. So you're not sure. You're not sure how the date's going. All you know is that the most recent aspect of it was this Sasquatch story that was meant to endear her to you, and she didn't enjoy it. The food comes at this point, and we start to eat, and there's little time to actually talk about anything other than small talk about the food itself and how it's nice and what have you. Oh, it's nice meal. Yeah, that's good. I'm going to roll something like an external check for the chefs. I'm going to make a performance check for the chefs to see if this food is actually pretty good or not, because that cannot, even though it's nothing to do with you, it can affect how well the date goes. So it's a cooking check. It is above average. It is okay food. It's quite nice. There's a little bit of just touches here and there of like the root vegetables. Okay, the odd root vegetable has been a little bit thickly cut, and so it's a little bit too much al dente in the center, and then a couple other pieces are like a little bit too soft and what have you. But above all, above average overall. It's a nice meal. Look, Sam, I'm going to be honest here. This is not my natural setting, and I'm a little bit nervous and anxious. I'm more familiar with the forest and the wild. And she laughs at that and says, yes, it's fine. I have to be honest as well. This is not my usual setting either. I haven't been on a date in a long time. So it's fine. We're we're both nervous, and we should just recognize that we're both here and just enjoy the date. If it is a date. More wine. More wine. The waiter comes across to ask us how our meal's going, and it's very good, thank you. Could I get another one of these wines, please? It pairs well with the this is the meat. Yes, that's meat. I meant I meant that it was the type of meat that it pairs well with. So you did a good job of. It wasn't you, was it? It was that one. Sorry, I thought you were the same guy as the one before. He suggested the wine, and it's a good wine, so that's great. Get another one of these wines, please. And he's right, and he leaves. How's your food, Sam? Do you want to try any of this one? And she says, "Oh, it's mostly the same vegetables. Just I'll have a little of your mountain goat if you'd like, and you can have some of it." And she cuts off some of her meat and passes it to you. All right, so we had let's see, that was the Sasquatch story. Ads RW. What do you want to talk about next as you start to get towards the end of your meal, and your wine, your second wine comes? Thank you very much. What now? Ask her if she'd like to go for a walk around town after dinner. Once we've done here, do you want to go for a walk around town? And she says, I maybe. Yes, I maybe, yeah. Okay. Can't go too far though. I've got to work in the morning, so we can't be out too late. But I've yes, I think that's fine. I'll roll an insight check for you. Not well. 8 total insight. Any follow-ups about going for a walk, or is it the next topic? What day of the week is it, Rob, in game? That is a good question. Let me open up my timeline notes. This is Colin Day, COLLONDAY, Colin Day. It's the 5th day of the 8-day week. And that's all you really need to know about it. It's the 5th of Altabris currently, which means that we're in terms of the moon, we are in a waxing crescent moon. Which days or day is the weekend where she would not have to work? There is one day of the week that is a weekend. It's the last day of the week. It's called Sinterday, and it's named after Sintalun, the god of levity and joy and fun. It's the one day that people are not expected to work. So if it was the day that she was, the day before Sintalun is Saturday. Saturday would be the last working day before Sinterday. So Saturday evening would be where you'd go for when you'd go out when not having to work the next day. Cool. So I don't think there's follow-up about wanting to go for a walk. So let's pull another topic out of the chat. Nah, you still in the chat? Nah. What do you want to move the topic towards as you finished your dinner now? You're finishing off your second wine. The waiter comes and asks if you want any dessert, any sweets. There's a few berries and cream on the dessert. There's I don't know what are the period sensitive desserts would there be? Berries and cream would definitely be one of them, wouldn't it? Ask her about her interests. So what do you honey pastries? Yeah, apple crumble. Yeah, that'd be on the menu. So all of these things are options for dessert. What are your interests? What do you guys think Apis would want for a dessert? Should we roll a constitution saving throw to see how Apis is feeling with the wine? Hey, 20. 22 con save, so Apis is definitely not letting the wine get to them yet on a full stomach, and a hardy dwarven constitution. 2 glasses of wine isn't enough to get you even tipsy, really. Just loosened you up a little bit, but you're still very much your own senses. And then let's have a think. What about your full stomach? Are you feeling too full? That was a 4. 4 plus your 2 con, so you're feeling relatively full. You could probably fit in half of a dessert if you wanted to share one. Banana custard. Forest berry cobbler. Man, you guys are coming up with some good desserts. A dessert each. There's too many desserts coming up in the chat, so I'm going to leave it to your own headcanon what Apis decides out of all of these delightful desserts that you're really making me hungry for. Your own headcanon, you can choose what you would or would not order from that. And then when the waiter leaves, you ask, so what are your interests, Sam? What do you do? And she says, well, I like to run my shop. My shop's probably my major interest. I enjoy. I don't really get out hunting much anymore. So having the way to live through other people hunting, coming into the shop and telling me what they've hunted and things, the stories that people tell, that's always interesting to me. Other than that, I don't know. I like to eat good food. I like to. I'm just earning as much money as I can. Really saving up. That's saving money is probably my biggest hobby. There's you got to be aware of doing tasks that don't cost a lot. So just free things. Sometimes I go to the library and read, but I don't really do that too much these days. What you saving up for? She says, I'm gonna roll an insight check. Hey, nat 20. Nat 20 plus your 2 insight. You can instantly tell that the question has her on the back foot, and with a nat 20 plus 2, you can tell that it's because it's the basis of her reluctance to answer is in embarrassment. And you're not exactly sure what it is because you're not a mind reader, but you can tell that she's embarrassed to say what she's saving for. I'm saving for a trip to. I want to go to Drenwheel. I've never been to Drenwheel, and I really want to see the capital there. I've heard Wendraven is a beautiful city. That's all, really. Sam has secrets. Sam does have secrets. I didn't want to pry. I just obviously no judgment or anything about it. I withdraw the question. You don't need to see. That's it. I'm saving for a trip to the capital. That nat 20. Can we tell if she's lying? You can tell what I told you, that she was reluctant to say, based on embarrassment, and then when she answered with a trip to the capital. You probably from that. I don't like insight checks to become like reading minds because that makes spells like detect thoughts moot. So even with a nat 20, the best you can read is just like what you can read from somebody's face. You would probably guess that she's not lying about the trip to the capital, but she kind of found it in a micro expression. She kind of found the answer as like, oh, that's probably the better way to say this, if that makes sense. Have you travelled before? I've travelled to. I've only been around Corinthial. I've never left our island. But I haven't. No is the answer. No, I haven't travelled. And even without an insight check there, you can tell that there was more to that. But you're not sure how there can be more to that because either you've travelled or you haven't. But she initially said no and then kind of like hesitated for herself. She's being vague on purpose, it seems, yes. Speaking of saving money, I was actually thinking about, and she says, no, you can't get out of paying. This was part of your, and you say, no, I wasn't. No, I wasn't. I wasn't suggesting that we split the bill. I'm paying. It's on me. No, I was going to say I've been thinking about joining maybe the Knights of Kavosnar or maybe even the PEA. Do you know anything about them? Oh, Let's roll in just a general knowledge check for her. She does know a bit about the knights, and yeah, she knows even more about the PEA. Well, yes, actually, I do know quite a bit about the knights and the PEA. Technically, I'm a wanderer myself, which you know as Apis is the collective name for someone who belongs to the PEA. Or works with the PEA. PEA is basically predominantly a volunteer-based charity, a volunteer-based faction. Says, yes, I know a little about the knights, and technically I'm a wanderer myself. Although I haven't really done anything with the PEA for a few years. Well, I suppose at least once a year I'll do something for them. I'll usually be involved in their annual events and their religious festivals and whatnot. But yes, I know a little about them. I don't know, unfortunately, enough to sort of tell you one way or another. But what is it you want to know? Just kind of like a general feeling. Are they upstanding folk? Are they good on a whole? Do they do good? And she says, I think so. I mean, it depends on who you ask, I suppose. But I'm a fan of the knights. They've certainly helped me a lot over the years. My shop's been the victim of crime a few times, a few thefts and things, and the knights have always come to my aid. They keep us safe from things like that potential dragon in the area. And do you know anything more about that, by the way? Stay as vague as she is. Smart. I think I know just about as much as everybody else in town does. There's been talk of green dragon creatures and things, and I don't really know much more than rumor. What have you heard? I've heard that there's green dragon creatures that somebody new to the town has fought something in the forest resembling a dragon and brought its body parts into town, and others are saying that it was only one of many, and that there's another dragon out there, but it's unusual from my understanding about dragons that there would be more than one dragon in the area, so I assume that what they actually fought was probably a half dragon. With a 17 insight, you can tell that she is trying to pry you for knowledge, and she's trying to watch your expressions as she's saying these things. And from that, you can probably intuit that she's put two and two together rather smartly and heard these rumours of somebody coming into town killing dragons. Then you turn up to her hunting store, smelling of poisonous smoke, saying that you've lost your net when you were hunting something big, and has put two and two together and gone, this new hunter in town is probably the one that they're talking about, and is prying you for information and rumours about the situation. And she's not doing a very good job of hiding it. See, dragons, we might be involved. We've dealt with some Sasquatches. She says, yes, you told me that. Basically, the knights have asked me to not talk too much about it. You lower your voice and look around, and nobody's close enough to this table that they would overhear you without you speaking loudly. The knights have asked me to not talk about it. Obviously, you know that I can't say too much. I don't want to get in trouble with them. I think we leave it there. Okay. That's fine. I don't want you to get in trouble. I just want to know. There's obviously, if it's a dangerous situation that we're all in peril, it would be nice to know these things before it becomes too dangerous for us. Yeah. The Sasquatch thing, by the way, it was a much more difficult thing than I think I made it out to be. It was quite an achievement, and she says I'm sure it was. I don't know. I've just never seen one before myself, and I without knowing what they are or what they look like or anything, it would be harder to know how one would hunt it. So I don't know what would have gone into it to get it right, to bring it back to whatever you said you did with it. Anyway, the dessert arrives at this point. Great, thank you. All right, so we take a break as we eat our dessert. The next person to is Valiant Rose. Are you still here, Valiant Rose? Valiant Rose says, maybe give her an out to determine if she only wanted the date for information. How would you like to go about that, Valiant? What do you imagine Apis would do to try and give her that out? Perhaps suggest an after-dinner walk to help digest dinner. You can do a loop if she has a convenient place to go a different way. Smart, yeah. That's a smart way of doing it. She's already said that when we asked her earlier in the conversation if she wanted to go for a walk after dinner, she ultimately said yes, but she was hesitant, and I rolled an insight check and you weren't able to pick up on any other reasons for why that might be, any micro expressions or anything. She was just hesitant in her response when she said yes, that she would go for a walk with you. So you bring it up again and you say, after we've finished dessert, is there any particular part of town that you're interested in going to, interested in seeing? And she says, no, not really. Just we should probably stay to the main streets, I imagine. Right. Okay. I guess I'll settle up then. You can stay and finish your meal. I'll pop off and pay the bill. So you get up from the table. You leave her outside, and you head inside to pay the bill. You get there, and the waiter totals up everything you had. Couple of nice meals. 4 glasses of wine between you. Probably 5, because I think you had another glass during the dessert, the white wine that went well with the dessert, and then a couple of desserts as well. So a decent sized meal, and overall they charge you. Let's make it 8 silver plus a d4 silvers. That's 4, so 12 silver. So 1 gold, 2 silver. 1 gold, 2 silver. I assume you pay it without trying to haggle down or anything. You can't really haggle with food as much as you can with items usually, especially after you've already eaten it. A nice tip. What sort of a tip would you like? When did tipping come in? Was tipping sort of a customary thing in the Middle Ages? Have we established tipping? I know we're a mixed country crowd. I know that we don't tip here in New Zealand. They do in America. They don't in certain parts of Europe, and they do in others. So hard to know, really. I tend to try. The country you're currently set in this world is based on Middle Ages England. So I don't know if they would tip there or not. It's up to Apis on whether or not to tip. I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think. I would err on the side of I don't think so. No tip. I very much doubt that. Yeah. No, I'm gonna say no tip is expected. You can give a tip if you think the service was particularly nice, but I don't think it wouldn't be expected by anyone wherever you go. So you pay for your meal. You head back to the table outside, and you find that the table outside is deserted. Sam is not at the table outside. There is a waiter there clearing away the plates and snuffing the candle, but Sam is not there. What do you do? Ask the waiter. Excuse me, pal. Turns around. Yes. Do you see where the lady went? And he says, "Oh, yeah, she went to the bathroom. She won't be long, I don't think. She just left now, but she's left her shawl here. Let's say she had a shawl. I don't know." Oh, right, yeah. So you sit back down at the table and you give it 5 minutes, and she does come back from the bathroom, and Right. Are we ready to go then? She takes the shawl and places it around herself. Let's go then, and you set off back out into the streets of Fonderg. That was unnecessary stress. It was very necessary stress. Look how much delight it gets me. Let's scan the room real quick. Look at the faces, then look for the same faces during the walk. Ooh, smart, Carl Brogo. Let's make a perception check. 16 plus your perception of 4, so a dirty 20. So you quickly sort of scan the faces of the people in the restaurant with you, and then you walk outside and start walking the streets. Which direction do you want to go? And Canuck, if you're still in the chat, what do you want to talk about on this walk? As you start to walk through the towns, you're sticking to the main streets. Start heading towards her shop, sticking to open, well-lit roads. The general direction of her house. Yep. She lives above the hunting store, which at some point came out in conversation, let's say. Where's she from and family? So whereabouts are you from anyway? Tell me about your family. She says, I'm from a small town south of here. I've got 2 older brothers, 2 younger brothers. We didn't really know our parents. It's a kind of a crazy situation. We didn't really know our parents because the people who raised us, our parents, they were much too old to, we think, be our parents. So all 5 of us have always sort of wondered if there was something else going on, but we've asked them a couple of times when we were younger and they would refuse to talk about it. So I'm not sure exactly who our biological parents were, but the people who raised us, our mum and dad. Man, she can't give a straight answer on anything, can she? It seems not. And then we all moved away. My parents are both dead now. They got rather old. They've been gone for a number of years now. Mum finally passed about 3 years ago. Yeah. So we all moved to Fonderg, but all of my brothers live here as well. My 2 older brothers, my twin brothers, are builders. They work in the timber industry. My younger brother is a lumberjack. He works sort of on the front of that line, I suppose. And my youngest brother, as she says this, there's a clattering of metal behind us that makes us both turn. And somebody stumbled into a bin, and knocked over like a trash can, and sent it sprawling a little bit. And we think, I wonder what deal was there. And quickly looking around, we realise that this guy was definitely in that restaurant with us. With us taking a good look around the people that were in the restaurant as well. This guy was one of them. And the trash can was at the end of an alleyway, a ginnel, a snicket, for want of other words. And he had knocked over this can trying to go into the alleyway, an alleyway that we know from being in this town a couple times now. It's an alleyway that takes a shortcut between this main street that we're on, which kind of like curls round, and cuts out ahead of us on the road. He's a relatively big guy, and he's now wearing a darker cloak over the top of what he was wearing before, and his hood was up until he clashed down onto the street and tripped over the bin with his natural 1 stealth. You see that, and she says, we should probably keep moving. We stop walking. Sam, do you know that guy? He was with us at the restaurant. She says, no, I don't. I don't know him, but we should keep moving. It's not the safest place to be on the streets at night. Mel's still with us. Yeah, true. Mel would be with us. She was probably buzzing around outside with us being in an exterior place for the exterior. We were in an exterior dining situation, so she was buzzing around outside. And then when we came to leave, she's probably following us. Let's let him go down the alley a bit and then go a different way. Insight, perception check. So we rolled perception check off screen, as it were, behind the DM screen, and he rolled a stealth check. And with his natural 1, even though we only got a 6 perception, we managed to beat his stealth, which is why we saw him. Signal to Mel to do a perimeter check. Sure. Mel, let's see. She's looking down there. There's buzz and buzz buzz. Let's make a perception check for Mel. Yeah, she's perceptive enough to see that you sort of catch her eye, and then is she smart enough to remember the signals that you were teaching her about? Yeah, you are. So she's smart enough to know what you were trying to, what you're trying to tell her, just like, and she starts to perimeter check. She disappears out of sight above the roof lines of the buildings around us. You think Sam recognizes him? What do you guys want to do? He gets up. At this point, he gets up and he walks down the alleyway with a look over his shoulder as he does so. We know from being in this town before for like a day now that this main road will curl round, and that alleyway that he's just gone down will cut off the where we end up. So it could be that he's just going down that alleyway and cutting onto the main street just as a shortcut. But it could also be that he's trying to cut us off. Ready our knife, but keep walking. So we unsheath our knife or just put our hand on it. Our knife's in a sheath on our hip. Her house would be beyond that cut-off. Like we were going on the main road in order to get back to her place. Just a hand on it for now. Put our hand on the hunting knife at our belt. How did she react? Nervous. She was nervous and wants to move. She's quite clearly anxious and on edge. Did she bring a weapon? Not that you can see. Ask Sam if there's another way to... Hey Sam, is there another way to avoid that, where that alleyway comes out on the other side? And she says, we could stay here, or we could... I mean, there's not without going down other alleyways. Our place is in the same direction, but much further. Alright, so, poll. Who's in favour of just carrying on, but cautiously? Yes, 76% saying yes, let's continue that way. So we start to walk that way, continuing round, and Mel comes buzzing down at this point and says, I'm not sure what I was looking for. Are you okay? And you say, hey, I'm just that fella that was down the alley. What's the situation? Did you see where he is? And she says, let's do a perception check on her part to now look for what she was looking for. She goes, I did not know what I was looking for, so I looked around. There are a few people around, but I will check for you now. And just as we round the corner and we can see ahead of us, maybe about 100 yards ahead, actually probably only like 100 feet ahead, on the right there's the alleyway, the ginnel that comes out at. She flies up and over in that direction. We look along the street and we don't see him. She buzzes above and then turns around and buzzes back down towards, and she says, he is just standing in the alleyway ahead. And Sam says, what's she saying? She's saying that the man is just standing in the alleyway ahead. Thinking, part of the brain thinking maybe he's just peeing. Is he removing fluid from his body? He says, no. Should he be? No, I mean, like, is he standing up against the wall? Is like fluid coming out? And she says, no. He's just standing and kind of just standing there. Pull the knife out. So at this point, Apis unsheathes the hunting knife, and she says, be careful. I don't think we should fight. Why? There are dangerous criminals in the town. Do you know him? I don't know him. No, there's just, this place is a little dangerous after dark sometimes. They never have enough nights to put people on patrol all over the town. Mel, which way was he facing, standing there? He was facing the way of the path, the way of this part. There are other ways to get to where she's going, but this is the main street that would take you there. Like, you'd have to go down some other back alleys and things to sort of cut through to the next main road. Do you know that alley at all? She says, not close. Not well. Is it? When you say criminals, do you mean like a mob or like a mafia or something? She says, I don't know what those words mean really. Like an organized crime thing. She says, yes, there's I think there's an organized crime in Fondurg. I don't know if it's dangerous or not to continue. She looks very nervous. Nice. Ask Mel. Mel, did he have a weapon? I did not see. I'm afraid. How well did she see? Oh, actually, pretty well. What's? Yeah. Just I did not exactly see. He was in shadows, but he might have a weapon. Ask her to use her sleep spores. I think Mel used the sleep spores during the fight, so I don't think she's got them yet, has she? Oh no, they recharge on a short rest, so she would have them again. We walk on the other side of the road. Yeah, we shall. We could definitely just walk on the other side of the road. The road's probably about 30 feet wide, give or take. Well, maybe about 20 feet wide, maybe. Let's get this sorted quickly. This guy isn't going to wait forever. If we stand here chatting, he'll figure out we're onto him. I would tell a knight that the man in the alley screamed for help. See if they can help you. See if he's okay. That might be a smart idea, Cal Brogo. There's no knights around. That's literally what I just rolled for, to see if a knight had come by. Reassure Sam that we want to keep Sam and us out of trouble. Sam, it's important that I'm not going to pick a fight. Like, I'm going to try and keep us out of trouble when at all possible, but it's also important that we defend ourselves if it comes to it. Yes, yeah, I know. Do you have? You don't have anything to defend yourself, do you? Do you? Can you defend yourself? And she says, I can defend myself. Okay. Sure. Okay. Translate Mel's responses about a possible weapon. Mel says that there's a possibility that he has a weapon, and he's just standing there waiting. I think he's waiting for us. Do you have a weapon on you? And she kind of looks around, and then she lifts up her leg and reaches underneath her dress, and you get a good look at her proper hunting boots for the first time. And then she pulls out a hunting knife that's slightly larger than yours. Oh, smart. She says, yeah, well, you've got to be prepared in a place like this. People see what I look like these days and take advantage sometimes. All right, what do you guys think? We're not technically in like a round by round situation because several seconds can pass with nothing really happening. It's not like I need to be turn based, so I can't really go initiative order yet. So put a thumbs up if you're in favor of sticking to the opposite side of the road and just walking past quickly and confidently and hoping that that's enough. Put a thumbs down if you want to try anything else. Use our dark vision to see if there's anyone else hiding in the shadows. We can't see that alleyway yet. We're like, this is the road here and the alleyway is here and we're like here. So on the angle we're at, we can't see into the alleyway the alleyway is perpendicular to the road that we're on. Tell Sam, hey Sam, this has been the best date I've been on and I'd love if we live to see another. She sort of laughs a little bit at that. And she says, yes, I hope so. All right. I see vastly more yeses than nos there, so that's what Apis is going to do. Take my hand. We're gonna be fine. I can defend myself very well in a fight. It seems that you might be able to as well. If it comes to it, it comes to it. Okay. Let's do what we can. So Apis sets off with Sam in hand, somewhat awkwardly holding, like the difference in our heights. She's like 1.5 feet taller than us, so we have to sort of have the overhand hand hold rather than the underhand hold. And she comes with us, and Mel kind of buzzes nearby as well. And as we approach, he steps out of the alleyway on the other side of the road, and then stops and kind of looks down at his feet, and then goes down to his foot and starts to lace some boots. Make an insight check. Oops, that was cocked. 3 + 2 insight. You're not looking his way long enough to sort of understand his movements and things. Now I'm going to make a perception check. 9 plus your perception of 13. With a 13, you're pretty sure that you saw a glint of metal in his hand, which, as he left the alley, he then put back under his cloak and then went down to tie his shoes and things. You continue walking, sort of peripherally glancing out the side of your eye, and you're a couple of 100 yards down the road before you realise he's not pursuing. There's a good chance that he was getting ready to attack or rob you, or jump you or something, but then thought better of it, being that both of you were holding relatively large hunting knives and had a giant bee that was buzzing around next to you. So it seems like maybe he was going for something and decided against it. Yay for having Mel and a couple of hunting knives on you. I was wondering if that hunting knife under her dress would ever come into play, but yeah, there it is. He was just a knife salesman trying to sell you. He was an idiot, but not a dumb one. Yes, he's not going to put himself in excess danger robbing someone who can defend themselves, it seems. So before long, you get back to her shop, and she says, "Thank you for that. It's been good to get to know you a little. Are you sticking around town much longer?" You say, "Yes, probably. I'm going to take some downtime. I'm going to take some time. I'm going to take some time to be here. I feel like doing some training. To be honest, I really need to. I need to get better with my bow. I've got to do some time training, so I'm definitely going to be around town for a few days at least." She says, "Right, well, good. I'm maybe yeah, okay. Maybe I can. If you need anything, you know where to come for it. Hopefully, best hunting supplies in town." You say, "Hey, would you be interested in going for a hunt at some point later in the week, maybe, or we could go for a hunt together? You said you haven't been in a while." She says, maybe, yeah, maybe. We'll see. Maybe come by again, and we'll see how I'm feeling then. I'm feeling like I really need to get inside now, though. But thank you. It's been nice. Thank you very much for dinner. It was a lovely meal. Yeah. Well, drama aside, it was nice. Thank you for letting me enjoy your company tonight. Are you going to be okay on your own? Like, do you want me? Would you like me to stick around? She says, No, it's fine. It's fine. I'm fine. I'm fine once I'm inside. Okay. If you're sure, I'm sure. Handshake. Offer out a handshake, and she takes you by the hand and gives you a shake, and then sort of pulls you into a hug. And she smells really nice. She's got some really nice perfume on. Pulls you into a hug, quite strong and muscular. She's not like bear hugging you, but you can just tell from her body type that as you're holding her, she's quite an athletic build. She reaches in. She lets you go from the hug and reaches into her boot and pulls out her key again and lets herself inside. Turn the handshake into a kiss on the knuckles. Yeah, you do that, right? It's a pleasure. I'll be back round in the next few days, I suppose. This has been lovely. Thank you. Thank you. And she closes the front door and locks it, and then gives you a little wave through the front door and walks back to the back room and closes it, and it goes all dark inside. There's no light source anymore. Stay for a minute or two, see if you hear any ruckus inside. Could be someone else waiting. Yeah, you do so. You stay and wait for a moment. You wait for a moment or two longer, and there's no ruckus inside. Nothing. No kerfuffle. You see a light start shining through some wooden slats in the shutters up at the window upstairs. It's flickering a bit like a candlelight. Then you stay and sort of listen intently, and you can hear the scrape of wood against floorboards, and then there's various sort of small sounds, but nothing's happening. And you start continuing your way back towards the tattered page. You get your knife back out again, unsheath your knife, and stick to the lighted roads on the way back to the tattered page. Yeah. As you do so, you can see that there's a couple of knights pass you on the way back, the way from the hunting spot to the tattered page. You see some knights pass in, and you kind of feel more comfortable in the presence that there are actually law enforcement around the town. It's just there's not enough of them to be patrolling every alley and every street at all times. When the knights are out of sight, you're almost back to the tattered page when you see that there's another fella, like a shady-ish looking dude, different to any that you've seen so far tonight. But he's talking to a smaller guy on the street, and they seem to be having a very hushed conversation, and something is changing hands between them. But you continue off on the other side of the road to them, and neither of them pay you any mind. And you realise that Fondurg, being a much larger town than Shadridge, has a lot more in the way of crime, and you make a mental note to maybe not carry a lot of cash on you in future, because as one person with one B, you might be a little more of a target. You enter the tattered page. You head to your room. You unlock it with your key. There is no sign that there's been a break-in at all. There's no sign that anybody has been into the room. The herbalism kit items have been left out, and the books are still on the side table. You lock the door behind yourself, close the shutters and curtains, and start getting ready for bed. And that is the end of that day. You have a long rest with Mel curled up on the end of your bed. Congratulations on making it through the date. You reflect on the date the rest of the night and into the next morning. And upon reflection, it was not the best date in the world, but it was certainly not the worst. In terms of tallied points, there were 5 in favour, 5 against, and 3 neutral. So it was an exactly neutral date, and from her perspective. Pros, cons, and neutral all kind of cancelled each other out. There were some very nice moments, as well as there are as many nice moments as there were awkward and negative moments. So, as far as not being on a date for a long time, it was okay. The next day, however, begins the first day where you get an opportunity to level up. If you want to, this next day can be the first of 5 level up days. Is there anything you would prefer to be doing, adventuring wise? How it works in my world, leveling up, is that you have to set aside 5 days to only train and do the things specific to leveling up. That means no adventuring, no progressing any quests that are currently open, no studying for anything that is currently, like, you're spending your time training for the level up. So if you want to do that, you can start that now. Does Sam have an archery range? No, she doesn't. We level up, but if the town's on fire, please let us know. Will that still allow for a hunt on the weekend with Sam? Yeah, if we can flavour it towards something to do with helping us level up, Sam giving us tips on hunting and things, then yeah, we can probably still go for a hunting date with Sam. at some point in that 5 days. We can still do some RP things during those 5 days. It's just that we can't really progress any quests and things. Alright, so it seems like we're leveling. Anybody objecting? Otherwise we're going to level. Anyone object? No. No objections. Speak now, forever hold your peace. Alright, there's no objections, so let's level up. First thing to do is, let's roll our new hit points, everybody. Actually, I should put it to a vote. Do we want to roll or take the average? The majority of people in the Discord want to roll, but they're not the ones that make this decision. You guys are. So I'm going to go start a poll. The first question to ask is, should we roll new hit points or take the average? So just so that everybody is aware, in my games, we always re-roll ones. So the average and the roll, mathematically, is exactly the same over enough time. But if you take the average, you'll only ever go up by the average, which can be a little bit boring sometimes, but it can be reliable. If we want to roll for it though, there's the risk of rolling a 2 plus our whatever. There's a risk of rolling the 2 plus constitution and everything, but there's a reward of rolling a 10. There's a chance that we could roll a 10, which we actually did one time, which is why we've got such high hit points at level 4. How much is the average? The average of a d10 when you're re-rolling ones is exactly 6. So you'll get 6 plus your constitution modifier of 2, plus 1 for being a hill dwarf. And hill dwarfs are extra hardy and they get an extra hit point every time they level up. So we would roll and add 3, or we would take the average and add 3. So if we take the average, we'll get an extra 9 hit points, I think. If we roll for it, we could get anywhere between 5 and 13 extra hit points. While you're deciding on that, I'm going to roll new hit points for Mel. Mel's hit dice is a d8. Wish me luck. Come on, Mel, roll high. 8! Nice, Mel's going to be unstoppable. I need my pencil. Where is it? There it is. Mel's hit dice is an 8 now. Plus her con mod of 1, so she's got 39 hit points. Go Mel. This is why I love rolling for it, because that one time that you get the max, you're like, yes, I'm so much hardier. What else has she got? Ooh, level 5. Ooh, boy, yeah boy, yeah boy, yeah boy. Ooh, her attack modifier goes up as well because of the increase to stuff. All right, 84% of people wanting to roll. Let's roll. Let's clear out the dice tray, make it a nice, obvious place to roll. Let's get rid of Mel's dice. Mel, come on out of here. We've got a d10 to roll. People like these green sparkly gems, so let's use these ones. This is Apus's new hit dice. It's a d10. I re-roll ones. If it's a 2, you got to live with it, everybody. It's just the way of the world. 8. Can you see that? It's a bit shiny, but you can, if I cover up there you go. 8. So above average. 8 plus 2 from con makes 10, plus 1 from being a hill dwarf is 11. We've got 11 new hit points. So our new maximum HP goes from 45 to 56. All right, next decision to be made. Do we multi-class? Multi-classing, how this works for anyone who doesn't know, means that we are currently a level 4 ranger, because every time we've leveled up, we've decided to continue down the ranger path. At any point we level up, we can choose to multi-class into something else instead. So we can be a level 4 ranger with a level 1 in druid, or we can be a level 4 ranger with a level 1 in rogue, or artificer, or barbarian, or fighter, or whatever, monk. So right now we can, because we're taking another level, we don't have to take the 5th. We don't have to take the 5th ranger level. We can take the 1st in any other level. And I remove multi-class requirements. I don't care if you don't have the right requirements for the job. It just doesn't matter. You can, if you want to be an artificer or a wizard, you can be that if you want. The benefits of that is that you can take, you can get a little bit more diversification about what you can do. Like you can get a rage ability if you take barbarian. You can get the ability to bardically inspire somebody if you take a level in bard. Yada yada yada. You can start to go into druid so that you can wild shape into animals and things later on. Blah blah blah. So there's lots of benefits, but there's a lot of drawbacks as well, because you'd be giving up your level 5 abilities from a ranger, like having 2 attacks per round and having spells and things. So lots of things to take into account. If you are kind of on the fence, maybe don't vote. If you are definitively in one camp or the other, then you definitely need to vote. And if you're not really sure what it would mean to multiclass into Druid or not, then that's why it's going to be a 5-minute poll. Level 5 is a big step. Multiclass would stop that, yes. So you would still get your proficiency increase, because proficiency is based on character level, not class level. But you wouldn't get your extra attack. You wouldn't get your 2nd level spells. You wouldn't get another ranger spell. You would lose out on a lot of ranger abilities if you multiclassed. But you would gain the multiclass, the 1st level option of whatever class you took. Do we multiclass? With an overwhelming 94% of the vote, no. Apis does not want to multiclass, or rather you guys don't want to multiclass Apis from Ranger. So that means we're going to take a level 5 in Ranger. Nice. So level 5 in Ranger means that we have 2 attacks now. Whenever we take the attack action, we'll be able to attack twice on our turn. 2 arrow shots on a turn, which is pretty dope. It'll basically double our output of damage, as well as doubling the amount that we're getting through our arrows. We might have to stock up on more arrows a little more quickly, because we're firing them off twice every round. We get a proficiency bonus increase, meaning that our strength is a +1, but it's circled in white, meaning if we take a strength saving throw, we get to add 2 to it. But now that we're level 5, we get to add 3 to it. Same for the dexterity saving throw, same for anything in the skills boxes or the tools boxes. Anything that we're doing that requires our proficiency, we get to add 3 instead of adding 2 now. So for instance, our panpipes, instead of being 1 + 2 from proficiency, it's 1 + 3 from proficiency, and we get a +4 to panpipes now. So we should be better at panpiping. Our stealth has gone up by 1, our animal handling, that's gone up by 1, all of those things are going up by 1. Our hit dice goes up to a 5 total. I don't think anything on this page is changing. Let's go over to the battle map page. Is anything over here changing? Yes. So our below us here, our longbow will go up to a +8 to hit, so I'm going to need Spidey to change these ones out. Longbow will be a +8 to hit. Our longsword will be a +4 to hit. Anything across there that changes? I don't think anything over that side will change. So now, I'm going to give you 6 minutes to decide on... In fact, I'll go generous and I'll give you 7 minutes in case you are unfamiliar with these spells. You've got time to look them up and check them out and everything. I'm going to give you 7 minutes to vote on all of the spells that you want... that you would be equally happy with Apis taking as your new spell. This is the one that you get for free, and it can be any level of level 1 or 2. Apis now has access to 4 level 1 and 2 level 2 spells. What? So that's how many spell slots you've got in the day. 4 berries and 2 flowers. And that is your 7 minutes up. So let's have a look. How's the poll done? Ooh, okay. Relatively close. Look at this. 16% of you like the sounds of Pass Without Trace with 25 votes. 10% of you want Hail of Thorns or Healing Spirit, with 8% wanting Cordon of Arrows and Summon Beast. 6% wanting Speak with Animals, and there's only been 5 votes for everything else. These are our winners of the round. Your time starts now. Now we're only voting on the one spell that you want. If we get any of these spells above 50%, then that's the spell we're taking. If none of them get above 50% of the vote, then I would remove the bottom one until we have, with a preferential voting system, we've got one of the options above 50%. Pass Without Trace wins with 56% of the vote. So Apis is going to be taking Pass Without Trace as their 4th ranger spell. And the last thing to know, the last thing to decide, I believe it's the last thing to decide, is that every time you level up as a ranger, you can choose to take one of the spells you already know and swap it out for another spell that you could learn at that level. So that means swapping out any of the 3 that we had before, Cure Wounds, Zephyr Strike and Hunter's Mark, Just to reiterate in case you missed it when I said it before, protection from good and evil, we can't swap that out because that comes to us inherently from being a Horizon Walker. That's not a spell that we chose to take. That's a spell that we have to take. Same with Misty Step, which we also will have in a sec at level 5. So at this level, we will have Pass Without Trace, Misty Step, Protection from Good and Evil, and at least 2 of the other 3, Cure Wounds, Zephyr Strike, and Hunter's Mark. The question now is, do we want to swap any of these spells? Alright, poll ended. 81% of people who voted want to keep all 3 of the spells that we have. So that's Apis leveled up, everybody. We have chosen everything we need to choose for the level up. We've got Cure Wounds, Zephyr Strike, Hunter's Mark, Protection from Good and Evil, Misty Step, and Pass Without Trace. We also have a bonus to our bow and arrows. We have a bonus to our longsword and a bonus to any sort of daggers or anything that we attack with. We've got a bonus to all of those things that we can do: stealth and perception and survival and athletics, all of those things. We've got a bonus to... We can attack twice whenever we take the attack action. We're an all-round pretty much badass now, and Mel has leveled up as well. So now that I know what we've chosen at the level up, I can actually put together some level up dreams and things, and we can do the dream portion of this dream date. So I will leave it there, everybody, and we will pick up here next time with Apis leveling up in character rather than just the mechanics of the whole thing. I'll see you next time. Bye!